Hello, ladies and gents. Welcome to UX, and this is how the US finds Iran's hidden missile launchers. Yeah, this is the channel Mega Projects Uncovered. Look, man, this is one of those things where Space Force shines. Because things that is not so sensationalized, is the right word? Something that doesn't make the headlines is kind of really important and really hard. Detection of certain, like low-flying objects and things that are hiding between like mountains and hills. How does US find those things? Because most countries cannot even find them, right? In the first wave, they basically destroy thousands of targets because of this. Iran placed those targets so US can't find it. And they somehow did. Space Force was involved. But how they did it is going to be interesting. Let's do this one.
One sentence from the White House just changed the rules of modern warfare. President Trump recently went on record with a striking claim.
As soon as they set off a missile, within 4 minutes, the launcher gets hit.
4 minutes? That's 240 seconds from ignition to obliteration. And this is happening in a country like Iran, a nation roughly the size of Texas, California, and Montana combined. So how is that even possible? How is the US finding Iran's hidden missile launchers across a country that spans 1.6 million square kilometers, often in the dark? This is an Iranian missile. Likely
that's probably one,
a Fateh or Khaybar Shakan ballistic missile flying over Israel. To reach this point, it screamed through the sovereign airspace of Iraq and Jordan, pushing through a layered gauntlet of defenses: US Navy Aegis destroyers, Patriot batteries, THAAD systems, Israel's Arrow interceptors, and the David's Sling network.
Hold up there. So you're telling me that Israel's air defense relies on American Patriots and THAADs from Jordan and all other military bases? And it's not just that Iron Dome, David Sling, and the three layers of it. So that plus American thing. I mean, that makes sense because even last year, there was a news like US, intercepted 99.9% of missiles that were shot at Israel. I'm like, I thought Israel had tech, but yeah, if you're US, I guess you're going to overpower everything.
And then it reached the final shield protecting Israeli cities, the Iron Dome. And sadly, even that last line of defense couldn't stop it. For years, we relied on the shield, but the shield is leaking. The ultimate escalation just happened. A direct hit on Prince Sultan Air Base in Saudi Arabia, a massive hub housing thousands of American troops. The game has changed because the hardware has changed. Meet the Fateh 2 and the Khorramshahr 4. These aren't your old school Scuds that fly in a predictable arc. These things zigzag. They maneuver at hypersonic speeds. For a Patriot missile crew, trying to intercept one of these is like trying to hit a bullet with another bullet, while the first bullet is actively trying to dodge you. It's expensive, it's exhausting, and as we've seen, it's no longer 100% effective. So, the Pentagon did what it does best.
I don't think that's true. Maybe I'm wrong, but I feel like the channel got the wrong info. It was never Fateh 2 and like Khorramshahr, whatever the name is, hypersonic missile that glides at Mach 5. Those are just numbers. That was never proven, and nobody got that in action, right? Otherwise, Patriot and this missile can't even intercept it if they could do that, right? This is the capability China says we have, and I think they demonstrated that. Not how fast it can maneuver, but maneuver enough at high Mach speed, what makes China kind of scarier. Makes sense. It's like together with US is a top 2 power. Russia says they have as well. I don't know, right? One thing is true though, that Iran, if they could have used this, they would have used it against US ships and things like that. You would have heard of one Alibuk destroyer or something going down. That didn't even come close to being true, right? You're asking, if that's the case, how are the missiles passing through? It's because they have this cluster bomb system to it, right? The missile flies, then it breaks apart into multiple warheads, and they fall down. You can't intercept all of them. It's literally like a shotgun missile. How are you going to stop that, right? So some of them will get through. So if they launch 10 ballistic missiles, all those 10 have like 5-6 warhead inside. So that's like 50, 60 warheads, right? So if you don't stop it in time, you can't really stop all of them now.
It unleashed the sword. Welcome to Operation Epic Fury. The mission is what we call structural decapitation. The goal isn't to catch the arrow anymore. It's to snatch the IRGC's ability to even pick up the bow. Because if the launcher is dead, the missile never flies.
Yeah.
But how do you actually pull this off? How do you see through solid granite mountains to find launchers tucked away in underground missile cities? To find the answer, we have to go 22,000 miles up, to the eyes that never blink. The hunt starts in a place most people never think about, geostationary orbit. This is the home of SBIRS, the Space-Based Infrared System. Now, while most satellites are basically high-end cameras, SBIRS is different. It doesn't look for light, it feels heat. Imagine a pitch-black room where someone strikes a single match. To you, it's nothing. To SBIRS, it's a lighthouse. When a ballistic missile engine ignites in the Iranian desert, it creates a thermal signature so massive that SBIRS sees it within seconds. It instantly calculates the launch point, the trajectory, and exactly where that truck is going. And it's not just one satellite. We've got a constellation from GEO 1 to GEO 6 that just sits there and stares. A single one of these can monitor nearly half the planet at once. But here's where it gets interesting. Iran knows we have...
That is the great thing about geosynchronous satellites. Geosynchronous, it's in sync. It will stay on the specific terrain because it moves with the planet. That's why it's in those directions. So it will always stay there. You have multiple of them. You have eyes on every single place on the planet. Well, almost, right? I mean, most of the planet is not ground, it's water. So you have eyes in basically most of the world.
Half the planet at once. But here's where it gets interesting. Iran knows we have SBIRS, so they've started using low-signature fuels and cold launch tech to hide the heat.
What?
The US response? Next Gen OPR. This is a new layer of sensors so sensitive they can detect pre-heat. We're talking about the electronic activation and fuel prep that happens before the launch. We are basically seeing the launcher's heart rate spike before it even takes a breath. Once SBIRS marks the spot, the NRO, the National Reconnaissance Office, swivels the big glass.
Iran figured out we're using infrared, and now they're using cold. Do you have better infrared? It's like, yeah, we do. How good? I can detect a cigarette smoke. Oh, let's do this. There you go, America in a nutshell. You want to use cold fuel? We're going to use something too insane.
These are the KH-11 Crystal Spy satellites. This isn't Google Maps. We are talking about 10 to 15 centimeters per pixel. From 200 miles up, analysts can see the lug nuts on the wheels of a transporter erector launcher, or TEL.
What?
These TELs are the IRGC's bread and butter. They're mobile, they're fast, and they're designed to shoot and scoot before a fighter jet can even get off the deck. But what if it's cloudy? What if there's a sandstorm? That's where the radar revolution comes in. The US uses synthetic aperture radar, or SAR. Unlike a camera, SAR sends microwave signals to the ground and reads the bounce. It doesn't care if it's midnight or if there's a hurricane. It sees through clouds, smoke, and camouflage nets like they aren't even there. And here is the kicker. SAR is so precise it can detect disturbed soil. If a 40-ton missile truck drives over a patch of desert, it leaves a compression trail. Even if that truck hides in a cave, the radar sees the tire tracks leading right to the door. To make sure there's never a blind spot, the military is now plugging in commercial data from companies like Maxar and Planet Labs. They've got hundreds of small satellites imaging the entire Earth every single day. If a new building pops up or a convoy moves at 3 a.m., the data is already in the system. Now, think about the sheer volume of data we're talking about. Thousands of satellites, petabytes of video, every single hour. No human team could ever watch all of it. This is where the human element usually breaks, and where the machines take over. Enter Project Maven. Maven is the Pentagon's premier AI computer vision program. It's been trained on millions of images of Iranian military hardware. While a human analyst might spend hours squinting at a screen to find a hidden launcher, Maven scans thousands of miles of footage in seconds. It flags the target automatically. It tells the commander that...
Yeah, so there's a Ramageddon in the planet. where RAMs are getting more and more expensive because AI centers and data centers are buying all of them. Assume at least half of them are from US military. Yeah, we're going to need all those RAM for processing. There you go. All those cloud and all different AI structures. They're basically like, yeah, do you want it from us? No. You're not strong enough. We need something better.
That's not a civilian semi-truck. That's a Hajj Qassam missile launcher. This data flows into what we call the Maven Smart System. It's an operational brain that fuses everything. It takes the heat from SBIRS, the photo from the KH-11, and the tracks from the radar, and turns them into a single glowing target dot on a screen. Then you have Palantir. This software is the connective tissue. It pulls in intercepted radio chatter and drone feeds and tells the guy with his finger on the button, the target is at these coordinates, it's moving at 40 miles per hour, and you have exactly 3 minutes to strike. This AI-driven kill chain is why a handful of analysts can now do the work that used to require 10,000 people. It turns the fog of war into a high-definition.
It's not even about 10,000 people. It's about latency. How are those 10,000 people going to communicate to each other? The command structure would be like a headache of its own.
Digital map. Once the AI locks in, the execution phase begins. High-altitude drones like the MQ-9 Reaper move in to provide persistent surveillance. They just circle thousands of feet up, waiting. As Secretary of War Pete Hegseth mentioned, our teams at CENTCOM have iterated on this until the find and fix tactic is basically instantaneous. But what about the launchers that stay underground? The ones buried deep in granite mountains? That's when we call in the big stick, the B-2 Spirit stealth bomber. The B-2 carries the GBU-57. We call it the Massive Ordnance Penetrator, or MOP. This is a 30,000-pound bunker buster. But don't think of it as just a bomb. Think of it as a precision-guided drill. It's designed to punch through 200 feet of reinforced concrete and solid rock before it even thinks about detonating.
In a lot of these strikes, we aren't even aiming for the truck. We're aiming for the tunnel entrance. By collapsing the mountain on itself, the US effectively buries the IRGC's most expensive assets in a tomb they built for themselves. That combined pressure, the satellites, the AI, and the bunker busters, is why Iranian missile activity has cratered. In the first few days of Operation Epic Fury, we saw launch activity drop off a cliff. Does this mean the threat is gone? Not by a long shot. The IRGC is smart.
I like how this channel basically hits all the right checklists in order to explain things. Yeah, a lot of missiles are destroyed, but that doesn't mean they can't shoot missiles. I get that all the time. Oh, I thought all of them were destroyed. What are you talking about? What do you mean all of them were destroyed? If 99% is destroyed, there are still 1% left that they can use to launch 10 missiles that they are doing nowadays, right? How many missiles did they launch in Kuwait? There was a big attack and they launched 30 missiles. It's not 300. You can launch 30 missiles with like 10 or so launchers. That's not that many of launchers, right? So they are using the leftover launchers strategically, but they're still gonna have some. It's a big place, right? I've given, once I've given this cleaning room analogy. Imagine that room is at the size of, like he said, 3 US state. How are you gonna find everything? That's obviously not gonna happen.
They use civilian traffic as human shields. They hide in cities. They even use inflatable decoy launchers and dummy trucks designed to trick our AI. But that 4-minute window isn't just a political talking point. It is a technological reality. Between the Space Force watching from above and the AI crunching the numbers on the ground, that haystack is getting smaller every single day. The message from the US and its allies is loud and clear. Go ahead, build your cities underground, move your missiles under the cover of night. But in the age of Operation Epic Fury, the second you ignite that engine, the world is already watching. But here is the reality we have to face as Americans. When you see American excellence, from the Space Force's eyes to the B-2's fist, working in perfect sync, does it give you a new sense of pride in the doctrine of peace through strength? And honestly, if you had a loved one stationed in the Gulf tonight...
No, it doesn't. It gives them doubt and basically criticism to American thing sucks. There you go. Nobody hates on American military more than Americans, I guess. Because that's the feeling I'm getting. I'm talking about beyond my channel. I've seen this a lot of places, which is weird. people want to be number one. You are number one. And political spectrum is one thing, but you're going to hate on your own military. Like,
How much more confident would you feel knowing Operation Epic Fury is watching their back with this kind of overwhelming precision? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. Is this the level of dominance the United States needs to project?
overwhelming precision is precision at a level that I guess normal person can't even process. If you go to Pentagon and Area 15, all these places where things are working, they'll be like, you won't understand, you're not going to understand any of this, but come on, I'll give you a tour. That's the level they're working on right now. Especially with the AI that they're now integrating. It's like, I'm genuinely scared to think about what's going to happen in the next 20, 30 years. Where is US going to be with the AI and like military? AI will be so powerful, they'll be able to predict things, which is scary in itself. But yeah, there you go, people, how the US finds Iran's hidden missile launcher. Yeah, because they are very overpowered. They have way too many satellites, and Space Force is a reason why it became its own division. All right, I guess I'll see you next time.